Mhm.
Gotta talk about Coach Prime real quick.
Oh
So
yeah.
we brought up with the NFL when Belichick said this was about to be the NFL's 33rd team. We brought up Coach Prime in the situation of trying to build a professional organization. Somebody decided to say that Coach Prime is not a good coach. That a 13-12 record is sorry and 1-8 against what was it, bigger teams
Yeah, he said
or ranked teams
1-8 against top 25 teams.
against top
13 and
25 teams
12. He said Coach Prime is not good. He's
is
like
not.
I've lived in Colorado. He's bad.
He's that people keep stop talking about like he's a great coach. Here's the thing: one year one in Colorado easily matched the win total from the last 5 years in Colorado, and at least in his second season had Colorado ranked in a position enough if they kept winning, they would have been in the playoff last year
Yep.
had they
Cause
not had one of the worst offensive lines in the nation for two straight
that,
seasons.
that part.
Other thing is also produced a Heisman winning player in his second season at Colorado. Also had a Heisman level quarterback by his second season. They were talking about him a Heisman first season. Now, did he get into the voting? No. But he also produced at least two first round level talents going into the draft. Now, we saw what happened with Shador in that dumb situation because he
But
should have been,
also,
he
but
should have been
remember,
second minimum.
Jimmy Horn also got picked up.
Jimmy Horn got drafted. Almost, I think everybody that was in that draft has either been drafted or is an undrafted free agent somewhere. Two of them are in Tampa Bay with Shiloh, his son,
Yeah.
and Willie Green, the
Yeah.
defense edge rusher. Both of them are in Tampa Bay. I think another one's in Miami. I think another one signed with the Rams. So the draft class he had after 2 seasons all are on NFL teams right now. Whether they make those teams at the end of the day, that's up to them and up to the effort they put in. However, the amount of professional talent that he's had come there to help mentor these players on a regular basis is a lot different
Talk
than
to
anywhere
him.
else. I think the only other place that probably could have pulled that would have been either Ohio State or Alabama prior to now. Georgia probably from time to time, but you don't hear about it. You
Talk.
had Terrell Owens, one of the top 5 receivers in NFL history. You have Warren Sapp, one of the best defensive tackles on your coaching staff. Hands down, one of the best defensive tackles also in NFL history on your coaching staff. So the problem that we get is people O line was trash. Now we're not going to sit here and say that Shador was not at fault in cases because there were times where he should have just got
No.
rid of the ball and didn't because he's not a mobile scrambling quarterback like that. He can run if he needs to, but he's not great at it. The problem that comes in is you're looking at the fact that yes, he is 13-12. I get it. He's only one game above being 500. I get that. But he's also come into one of the worst organizational situations in the nation when it comes to an FBS team. Colorado won 5 games in 5 seasons, and
So
you expected a Nick Saban like turnaround in 2 years. Now, I will also say to your benefit at this point, this year here is going to be his proving year because Shador's gone, Shiloh's gone, Travis is gone. The three best players, arguably on that squad, that made that squad anywhere close to as good as it was, outside of the coaching and the ensemble they had around it, is gone. So what's going to happen this season if he continues to have winning seasons post this and it continues to improve and get better despite those guys being gone? Then I don't think anybody can say anything to anyone about anything. Like, you have to admit that Dion did a good job. He did the same thing in Jackson State. Jackson State has gone to their national championship for the last 2 seasons since he's been gone. Jackson State has been a top contender since he's left. Since he changed that organization, brought light to what they had going on down there, they are now continuous competitors. So you can't sit here and say that he's not done a great job. It's just because you're used to mediocrity.
So I'm gonna give you something too. I'm gonna give you something real quick. Would you consider Dabo Sweeney a great coach?
I
At least,
agree. Shallow is gonna be nice in Tampa.
would you agree Dabo Sweeney is a great coach, or at least one of the best coaches in the last decade?
I agree that Dabo is a good coach. Yeah.
Dabo, in his first 2 seasons with Clemson, 15-12. Would you agree Kirby Smart is a great coach right now?
Everybody can agree that.
Kirby Smart, his first 2 years, 16-9. Deion's 13-12. Those are
He's
two.
on target with two
Right.
of the best coaches in the
He's
nation.
on target with two of the better coaches in the nation. If you would have said that Dabo Sweeney is trash after 2 seasons, you said Kirby Smart is trash after 2 seasons. To be quite frank, you're an idiot. I'm going to say it because that's dumb. You're literally basing it only off of the record that Deion has. But you're sitting there saying, oh, he's 1-8 against top 25 teams, but you're not taking into account. Let's all be real. We know that O-line was trash.
Because check this, because the only person that has made a massive turnaround in their first 3 years that I know of is Nick Saban. First year went 7-6. Second year went 12-2, and then 14-0 in his third.
Nah, I got one better for you. I found out. The only one and crazy enough, Urban Meyer. First year at Florida, 9-3. Second year at Florida, 13-1 in the national championship. Urban Meyer.
About saying
So-
Nick Saban got a national championship in his third season.
Right. So you want to sit there and say that Coach Prime is not a great coach. I would concede to that statement had Deion be 6-16. If Colorado was that bad, I would consider that for that statement. But
Now,
when he's not, and I'm like,
I ain't gonna lie, bro. I thought he was too. After Watson and Lawrence left, I thought he was too. But they've been
What?
good. They still produce great teams every season. The other thing, I'm not going to sit here and act like no, they didn't get mud stomped by BYU in that bowl game. They did.
it did.
They got mud stomped 100%. It was bad. But if you and I'm not going to say that whoever this is doesn't know football or nothing like that, but if you play a sport enough, you can tell when a team came to play and another team didn't. Colorado
That ball game they didn't. That ball game they didn't. But let's also be
the only people who came to play that game was Shador and Travis.
facts. But I'm gonna also say this: how you gonna sit there and say the man's a bad coach? What bad coach? I'm sorry, I'm gonna be honest. I've never known a bad coach to be able to take a team with an O line that bad from 4-8 to 9-3 in one 4-8 your first year, which matched the total that Colorado had in the previous 5 to 9-3 the second year with the same squad. That's not a bad coach. Let's keep that up there before you want to be disingenuous to be like, oh, he's 1-8 against top 25 teams and everything like that. Yes, that is a record, but please look at that number and tell me how 4-8 to 9-3 is not a massive improvement.
Hold on a second. You know what else I just found out? You know what else I just found out?
What's up?
Did you know that educationally, the 2024 spring semester, Colorado had a record high average GPA for the first time in team history?
But
The team averaged a 2.932 GPA for the first time in college in their history. The team averaged higher than a 2.8. The first time in the team's history.
And a 2.9, for those of you who don't know, that's damn near a B. I'm sorry, my language. That is a B, essentially.
They're all averaging at least
3.0
B or higher.
Yeah, a 3.0 is a B, like on a flat rate. 2.9, all right, C plus if you want to be nitpicky.
Like,
I'm rounding that up.
and like I said, that's a high B or a low, that's a
Right.
low B,
That's a low
low
B.
mid.
It's a low B.
But the fact is, the team as a whole averaged a B
So
or
not
high.
only not only are they improving on the field,
They
they're also
improved.
improving off the field in the classroom where Dion said, "I'm going to make you men." So you're getting athletes who aren't just there just for football and don't come out of there with knowledge. They're actually taking their studies seriously. And that's all I can ask of a college coach, to be truthful. Because we've seen certain college coaches who are just like, listen, you're just here to get to the league. Like that's it. Like they don't care about your education. They don't care about anything you do. As long as you can play football, I don't care whether if you're failing classes or not. But Dion's making sure, like, nah, I know the way this game works, and I know not everybody's gonna make it. So if you're not gonna make it, I want to make sure you are a man who can hold his head high and can do his thing out there in the real world and run your own business to do your own thing and make sure that you know how to operate and conduct yourself and also work
Definitely.
accordingly. Because we know the video where he had one of his linemen, I want to say one of his linemen, I can't remember if it was defensive or offensive, but the man was going to run a business back home. And so Dion had him practice his speech and like his elevator speech and everything to get comfortable with giving these presentations in front of his teammates. He's like, nah, you want a business? We're going to help you get this right. You're going into a job interview, we're going to get you right. So he's making these, that's the signs of a great coach. It's not just the win-loss records, man. It's what you do with these young men and young women off the field, giving them lessons and guidance off of that they can take and be better people in society. Because as athletes, you know this, bro. I know this. We're not going to be able to play sports forever.
Mm-hmm.
But you know what I can be forever? I can be a good human being. I can be an understanding human being. I can have skills and I can pass down to the next generation long after I'm done playing.
So yeah, like before you look at it, I understand that 13-12 doesn't look impressive, but some of the best coaches in the nation start off around that way, especially in a new program. You have to rebuild something. This is a rebuild in Colorado. You're not going to see something like you would see with Saban in Alabama or Urban in Florida. Those were teams that were already set up and good by the time they got there. All you had to do was just set up the coaching staff and set up the right people in the right places and figure out what you had. Nick Saban was great at that. Urban Meyer was great at that. And Dion came from a HBCU school in an FCS conference where the competition wasn't even at the same level entirely in most cases because they get shoehorned a lot. I'm not going to like coming from an HBCU myself, the talent gets shoehorned.
Facts.
And it's unfortunate because a lot of really good talent are at HBCUs, but nobody gets to see them because they don't get put on TV enough. So he went to Colorado that was struggling like it did and ranked them and got them up to 23rd in the nation after 2 seasons.
It made them relevant.
First time since 2020. They hadn't had a 4-1 start since 2020. He did that year one.
Facts. And then
I get they got blown out by Oregon, but Oregon was a very good team. Now they also played flat like they did against BYU. So what you expect to happen, but it is what it is. We got to move on because we got a couple more things we got to get to today.
First of all,